Once upon a time, in a little village, there lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. She lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters, who, unfortunately, were not very kind to her. They made Cinderella do all the chores in the house: sweeping, scrubbing, cooking, and cleaning. But no matter how much work she had, Cinderella always found a way to smile and show kindness to everyone she met. One day, news spread across the village that the king was hosting a grand ball at the royal palace. The ball was in honor of the prince, who was finally old enough to look for his future princess. Everyone in the kingdom was invited to attend. Cinderella's stepsisters were thrilled. They spent hours choosing fancy gowns and sparkling jewelry, dreaming of meeting the prince. Poor Cinderella watched them with a heavy heart, wishing she too could go to the ball. "Please, stepmother," what Cinderella asked, her voice soft and hopeful. "May I go to the ball too?" Her stepmother scoffed. "You? Go to the ball? Look at your dress. It's full of patches and dust. You don't have anything fit to wear." Cinderella's stepsisters laughed and teased her. "You'll never meet the prince in those old clothes." Cinderella felt a tear roll down her cheek, but she held her head high. She whispered to herself, "I may not be able to go, but I'll still wish everyone a wonderful time." The night of the ball finally arrived, and Cinderella helped her stepsisters get ready in their gowns and jewels. She watched them leave, her heart filled with a mixture of happiness for them and sadness for herself. After they were gone, Cinderella walked out into the garden and gazed up at the twinkling stars. "If only I had one night to dance and be free," she whispered. Suddenly, a soft light appeared in the garden, growing brighter and brighter. Cinderella blinked, surprised, and gasped as a figure appeared before her. It was her fairy godmother, a kind and wise woman with a warm smile and a sparkling wand. "Hello, Cinderella," her fairy godmother said gently. "I heard your wish and I've come to make it come true." Cinderella's eyes sparkled with wonder. "You mean I can go to the ball?" The fairy godmother nodded. "Yes, my dear, but we must hurry. First, we need a proper gown." With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed Cinderella's simple dress into a beautiful, shimmering gown. It sparkled like the stars, and delicate glass slippers appeared on her feet. "Oh, thank you, fairy godmother," Cinderella exclaimed, twirling with joy. "Now let's get you to the palace," the fairy godmother said. She waved her wand again, and a pumpkin in the garden turned into a sparkling carriage, complete with 4 handsome horses and a driver. "Remember, Cinderella," her fairy godmother warned, "the magic will only last until midnight. After that, everything will return to the way it was." Cinderella nodded. "I understand. I'll be sure to leave before midnight." With a grateful smile, Cinderella climbed into the carriage and set off for the palace, her heart racing with excitement. When she arrived, everyone at the ball turned to look at her, enchanted by her beauty and grace. Even her stepsisters, who didn't recognize her, whispered to each other about the mysterious girl in the stunning gown. The prince noticed her, too, and walked over with a kind smile. "Would you do me the honor of dancing with me?" Cinderella blushed and nodded, feeling like she was in a dream. They danced across the ballroom floor, laughing and talking as if they'd known each other forever. Cinderella felt a joy she had never known before. Time flew by as they danced, and Cinderella was so happy that she forgot to keep track of the time. Suddenly, she heard the clock begin to strike midnight. "Oh no," she gasped, pulling away from the prince. "Wait, where are you going?" the prince asked, surprised. I must go," Cinderella said, dashing toward the exit. She hurried down the grand staircase, but one of her glass slippers slipped off her foot. She didn't have time to retrieve it, though. She had to get home before the magic faded. As she reached her carriage, the clock finished its last chime and the spell broke. Her beautiful gown turned back into her patched dress, and the carriage became a pumpkin once more. Cinderella walked home with one slipper on, clutching the other in her hand and feeling both happy and sad. The next morning, there was excitement in the village. The prince had found Cinderella's glass slipper on the palace steps and was determined to find the girl who had lost it. He traveled from house to house, asking every girl in the kingdom to try on the slipper. When he reached Cinderella's home, her stepsisters eagerly tried on the slipper, but it didn't fit either of them. Cinderella watched quietly from the corner, not daring to hope. "Do you have any other young ladies in this house?" the prince asked. Her stepmother tried to dismiss her, but Cinderella bravely stepped forward. "I would like to try the slipper, please." The prince looked at her kindly and nodded. She carefully slipped her foot into the glass slipper, and it fit perfectly. The prince smiled. "It's you! You're the one I danced with." Cinderella blushed, but she met the prince's eyes and smiled back. Her stepsisters were astonished. They hadn't realized that the girl they teased and ignored was the same enchanting guest from the ball. The prince took Cinderella's hand. "Will you come with me to the palace where we can be happy together?" Cinderella looked at her family, then back at the prince. "Yes, but I would like my family to be happy too." The prince admired her kindness, and he promised to help her family as well. Cinderella forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, and they apologized for their unkindness. They were touched by her generosity and realized the importance of kindness and love. Cinderella went to live at the palace, but she never forgot her friends in the village. She became known as a kind and wise princess, always helping those in need. And she lived happily ever after, knowing that kindness was her greatest treasure. And so, Cinderella's story reminds us all that kindness, forgiveness, and bravery can lead to a life filled with joy, even after hardships.